What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Maroon Radio, and today I have a very special guest. This guy was recommended to me by a past guest, and he's everything he was bigged up to be. He is a producer, rapper, poet. I have to find out more because it's very scant information on you, my guy. And we had like a little conversation off screen earlier that I want to get into, so maybe we could find out more about him together. But this dude is hard, yo. This is the first guy I've heard on a song take his name and compare it to something since Drake. When Drake was like, Drake stands for do right and cool everything. This guy was like, yo, my name is Shemar and I'm an everlasting blue flame. I thought it was the hardest shit. And I didn't even understand. Excuse my language, y'all. But like I said, today we have Shemar.
Yo. Hi. Hello.
Salutations. So first off, how you doing on this hot summer day, man? It killed me, so I know it must be killing you.
No, it's OD hot. When I stepped outside, it wasn't too bad. I was like, oh, okay, it was like a little breeze or whatever. And then I was just walking around. I was like, never mind. This is not normal. This is
real.
Advanced heat.
It's real.
Can't complain.
What does a typical day in your life look like, honestly? Because the way your writing reflects, I'm thinking this guy's living like the stuff of like Dungeons and Dragons and stuff of like myth, you know what I mean? So like, what's a day in your life like, bro?
I tend to wake up around like 7:38. It's just like my body clock. No matter what time, I'll fall asleep at like 2 a.m. I'm up at 7, and it's miserable, but like it is what it is.
That's real. That's every American.
Yeah, exactly. I get up. If I'm feeling good, I'll go like eat something or whatever. My go-to is peanut butter toast with banana and like flaxseed or whatever. So trying to be healthy. I'm trying to get there.
Yeah, it's really dope stuff.
And then I'll be like listening to music or like listening to beats or like I don't know. I might be writing, listening to samples, making beats or whatever, or like practicing songs, like trying to get stuff down for like shows or just if I'm like about to record or whatever the case might be. And then from there, it kind of depends from day to day. I have an internship at this after-school program that works with, like, high schoolers and stuff. So if I have to go there, then it's like, all right, I got to leave my house at noon, go there. If I have school, I'm going to school. Outside of that, it kind of depends in the evening. I like going to shows in the city a lot.
Like music concerts? Or
yeah.
Okay. What's the last one you seen?
Last one I seen was actually the one I saw you at with Jay up in the Bronx, Jay and Johnny and them. Before that was Silence on the notion of recommendation. Silence is he's that dude. But Silence
I tap into for sure.
He's been going on tour for his recent album, and he had one show at Wonderville and it was Silence. It was Des Day. I think right. Cool. Nolan the Ninja. Wavy Bagels.
I've seen him before. He's a character, man.
No, Wavy's dope. Wavy's dope. I really like him. I think that's it. But yeah, so
Okay.
That's it.
Typical guy, atypical raps and talent, bro. That's what I got to say. But if we could backtrack a little bit, how I heard of you was in a previous interview. It should be out by the time this comes out for sure. Hopefully if I get off my ass. But I heard of you from the guy on your shirt, Big Flowers.
Oh,
he spoke very highly of you. He was like, yo, if there's anyone I could say this hip hop is in the future, like is in the hands of, this is you. This is Shemar. This is the guy. Like,
much love.
So I was just like, okay, like I gotta tap in. So I look you up. Okay, I see like you work with Jason. I'm saying shout out to him. Cool dude. I'm saying great artist. And then when I go into your catalog, when I find new artists, I go into their most recent work because I feel like that's the best reflection of them. I don't want to go into something like, I want to see what you want now.
Please don't.
I want to see like this must be your best work because it's the newest. You know what I'm saying it's their fullest attempt. So I'll find the Sunscreen, you and Child Actor. Never heard of Child Actor 2. I think that's a hard producer name.
Bro, with
you
Arm & Hammer and them?
I never looked into their production. When I see Arm & Hammer records, I'm like, okay, I'll see like Kenny Segal, or I'll see like Blockhead. Yeah. Like those names will stick out, but Child Actor, his name I must have skipped over and missed it. But
you got
I tap that. For sure. But man, I would have thought y'all was like working together forever, man. The way that project sounds like. So opening up with the SkyTrain, like I said, that shemar, meaning everlasting blue frame. I wake up to that, right? Get on my way to work.
Much love.
It's a real like adrenaline shot of a track. So could you speak to how that whole project came together before I get into individual tracks throughout your catalog? Because that project was my introduction to you, and I'm really curious as to how that went.
Funnily enough, it's high key because of Michael, because of Big Flowers.
For sure.
Big Flowers and we've been homies for like about a year at this point. I was a huge fan of them. I think they stopped saying it at this point. But I was like, I was the biggest Big Flowers fan. We met. They found out about one of my projects I'm not a super fan of, but like they really liked it.
Yeah.
So it was like, oh cool, take beats or whatever, and then just being homies or whatever.
Yeah.
And then Child Actor's been my favorite producer for like a minute at this point. I think I found out about him. It was on an Arm & Hammer project, Shrines, which I think was 2020. He produced the track Charms with Kia.
Oh, he did that one?
Like, it was like, what is this beat? Who is this? I need to know everything.
It's
and
a
then since
mystical
then,
beat, man.
since then, I'm like, all right, I'm locked in or whatever. But he did a project with Ajay, and then he put up the instrumentals. I'm gonna listen to the instrumentals at my internship, and I just post on my IG story or like my private story or whatever, and I'm like, yo, I would die to rap on a Child Actor beat. And at this point, I was like working on my first album or whatever, so I'm like, this will never happen.
You were just shouting into the void.
Yeah, it was like, it's whatever. I'm just letting feelings out. And then a couple days later, Michael was like, next time you go ask yourself. And then it's the beat for Affirmation too. So I'm like,
that's the Lucy you got up there.
Yeah. I'm like, what is this? Oh my goodness. And then so I go and I hit up Child Actor. I'm like, oh, thank you. And he's like, yeah, I'm excited to see what you do. And then I met him in person, a couple months later. I finished Affirmation 2. And he's like, oh, this is cool. He's like, he's doing a whole bunch of crazy stuff. He's like, yeah, but it's going to take a while to come out. So, like, if you want to do something. And at that point, I, like, just finished Two Sways. So I was I don't even know what I'm doing next. So it's like a chance to work with my favorite producer. Yeah, I'm going to lock in and do this. So this was, like, maybe early August. And then by like I was so locked in. Those 2 weeks of the summer of, what year is it? Of 2023, I was super locked in, bro.
No social life. Just
it was crazy too, because I was social. I actually had my first show. I performed for the first time. So I think it was just off the high.
Was that
TVI.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was like with Sketch 185. That's where I really met Jay. And like Miles Cook and
The first time I seen like a video performer was at Wonderville. That came later, right? Though?
Yeah. I performed at Wonderville a couple times at this point. If Wonderville wants to sponsor someone, I'm just saying. But yeah. So I think it was off that high. When Sketch 185 is like, you're dope. It's like, all right, I'm cool. I'm good now. So it was off that high. Life was still kind of bad, but it was like, I don't know. I was just locked in. And then Sunscreen.
Okay, boom, boom, boom.
Yeah.
So, like, before we get into some of the tracks, that cover art, man, because that was another thing, too, before I even pressed play on that joint, I'm like, yo, this has to be tight. Like, because after the recommendation and the cover art, I'm like, who did this cover art? How is this going to sound? When I listened to it, I was like, yo, it couldn't have been no other image in this, because it feels like a ray beam. Like, the whole even like the more, I guess, dismal or abstract is like it perfectly encapsulates that. So who made that cover art, and did you have any part in the ideation of that, or how did that come?
Big Flowers, bro. There's Big Flowers, but
the stars
I feel like that was one where I was like, I was a bit more involved in when I started working on Sunscreen. Like, just like the beats I picked out and stuff, because the way I'll do it is like, I'll pick out, okay, I want these beats, I'll order it, and it's like, okay, I'm gonna write whatever I write, but this is gonna be the order of the tracks,
Right.
So off of that, just hearing the beats, I was like, this makes me think of like, I believe like Golden Age comics, Golden Age, Silver Age, like the 50s, the 60s. So I went to Michael, and I was like, I want you to do the art, and I'm thinking of like Golden Age, Silver Age comics, and then they got a whole bunch of comics, and they cut it up, and they showed me a few designs, and they showed me that. I was like, this is it. Yeah, this is the one.
They knew what you wanted.
Yeah, I showed the Child Actor. He was like, yeah, and I was like, all right, cool. I had that it was definitely after I finished the project, but I was like, you know, it was still relatively fresh when I got the design. So it was like,
Right.
okay, cool. This is perfect. You know?
Okay. Do you feel like rapping over someone else's beats for an entire project, because you're a producer too, you know what I'm saying, you don't pump that up enough, I feel like, and your beats are dope, but do you feel like having a whole producer for an entire project compared to maybe just a ragtag team is a different process, or you feel like you like it better with just the one producer?
I feel like what I've realized now, it's like working on like upcoming stuff or whatever, is I think I like having a central producer where it's like, okay, yeah, like I guess you could say an executive producer, and I think that term has like a lot of meanings, but what I'm referring it to is being like, okay, this person produced X amounts, most of the album, and then you might have other people who produce other things, but it's like you're going to them, you're bouncing ideas off of them. Sunscreen was kind of like an anomaly because I was just like, again, I was just super locked in. I was like, I'm just doing this, and this is what's coming out of it. But like comparing like Obtuse Ways to upcoming stuff, Obtuse Ways, I guess I was like the executive producer. I produced the most tracks on Obtuse Ways, and then you have like, you know, Big Flowers, you have Sasko, Kilimanjaro, so on and so forth. But yeah, I guess yeah, to answer your question, I prefer having a central producer, be it that producer is the only producer or like someone who just produces the majority.
Dope. So getting into the tracks, the intro, like I said from the start, I love that joint. It's such a like rejuvenating track. Just how you come on there. Oh man, it's like fee fi fo fum flow. I'm just like, yo, this like you going crazy. I'm not going crazy. But, and one of the I guess 2 bars, because your songs are low key short, but you have a way in your writing style where you paint a narrative, and you're kind of like Ernest Hemingway-ish. You could tell a story like 2 bars, man, and you know how to really stretch a moment. I'm just like, yo, like this song feels long, but it's only like 2 minutes, baby. And it's like that's a gift for real, and that's really why I feel like all writers should aim to do. It's like, you know, make it interesting enough for me to go back, but like don't give me no 6-minute song. You're just talking about nothing, man. So 2 of the bars that really stuck out to me was Whitey only tell, all ends in subjugation, extras feign death, lingering by will of their anklets. Now, when I took that in, right, because it's heavy. Of course, the history books, we were talking about that because you said you were interning at a school. What they teach us in school, you know, it's their story, all the way. And then that second part about extras feign death, lingering by will of their anklets. I think of, you know, what do they say? What do they call it? Those who chose to see. Those who, you know, how they kind of live on. I could be off base, you know what I'm saying? You can let me know. Maybe I'm thinking too hard. I do that a lot. But where's your mind go? Like, you know what I mean? When you write, I was watching your interview with Anti, and you were saying how you don't really try to write too much about anything, for real. You just really let the pen go. So it's like, was there maybe not intention for the whole song, but are there moments throughout you writing where you might say, I'm gonna just slip that in for the people?
No, yeah, definitely. There's always moments of intention. The way I write is like, I have like a notes app on my phone. I mean, well, yeah,
everyone
but, like, you know what I mean. I have a specific note on my phone. It's called like Poem Thoughts or whatever, and it'd be like, okay, I came up with a line. Like that part was probably just like excluded from, like, you know, the beginning. And
it's
like,
so it's like a black book you pull from, like,
and it's like I'm like organizing it, and it's like, okay, this is the way it's supposed to be because I have all these lines and organized, and I feel it. I'm just looking for that feeling, you know. A big
misconception about how like rap lyrics are written is people might think people go to the studio and they sit down top to bottom, and people do that, or they might go in freestyle, but I hear like very often from people where it's like, yo, this thing takes a long time because I'm picking from something from February, something from July,
that's exactly how
and now it's November, and I'm just finishing this song. And it's like it comes in pieces and waves. And funny enough, Flowers said this to me when I spoke to him in person, and I seen it when I stalked your Twitter. You know what I'm saying? Obligatory as a journalist. You had said it's like your next project, whatever comes next, is gonna take a long time. And can you speak to why letting something marinate is so important, and why just taking your time and being comfortable with waiting however long for that next line. Because I would figure, I like to assume that as an artist you could be like, damn, did I just lose the juice for a minute? Because I have to really take a step back when it's just being like, okay, I'm comfortable, maybe I'll come back to it next Saturday or something.
I think a level to it is just me holding myself to a certain standard, where it's like, I don't know, I don't think I like bar out in the way that like Mac Homie does or something like that. I'm not that guy, but I've been writing for a long time, just like poetry or whatever, before I like I'm a rapper or whatever. And it was like, my whole thing was like, I want to have like the individual lines that like blow you away. Like, you take me out of context. I want to be like Instagram captions, not literally
Quotables.
Instagram. Like type. So I think there's like, being at that standard, and that takes time, that takes like effort. And I also, honestly, I have kind of like an unhealthy relationship when it comes to music. One of my personal goals is like to develop a healthier relationship with music, like it's like
a more consistent work ethic. Like, what do you mean by that?
Yeah, I guess so. Because it's like, the way I work is I work in like manic episodes. So it'd be like, for 2 weeks I'm writing 10 songs. And then I'm gone, and I'm like, did I fall off? Is this the end? And I don't really want to do that. I want to be able to be like, okay, I'm gonna find time to write. Yeah, it's also a thing of like, if I'm writing, I'm probably not doing homework. I'm probably late for my internship, because it's like, I'm rapping right now, and it's like, I don't want to be that. I want to be able to be more consistent in all aspects of my life, and I'm hoping that that'll, expose different sides of me that aren't like obviously apparent to me. So I guess in regards to, there's that level to it, and also I guess I'm thinking more about the post making the music process. I feel like every project for me has been like a little more. My first project was just, I announced it the day before because I was like, no one's gonna care, and then I just threw it on Bandcamp, and people wound up having to finding it or whatever. And then like going into Obtuse Ways, it was like, all right, I have a single. This is the single, and here's the album. Cool. And then Sunscreen was like, oh yeah, I have the single. Here's the tape. Here's the music video. So with my next album, I'm hoping to do like multiple music videos. I want to do like physicals and stuff for previous things. I want to do. Yeah, exactly. And it's like if I'm being honest, at this point, the album is written, it's recorded, it's being mixed and things like that. So it'll probably be done this year, but I know. The bells and whistles. Yeah, exactly. I'm kind of broke. I need money. So it's like, if you want music from me, give me money.
Or at least come help out. Bring the cameras.
I'm saying. Yeah, do things for free. I'll give you beats. I don't do like
barter or something.
We can figure it out.
All right, for sure. With that being said, love that we got some insight on your writing process, but your peer group, you know what I'm saying? You've kind of entered this special time, I think, in New York underground hip hop. You're a part of this now, Zeitgeist, you know what I'm saying? Being that I found out about you through Big Flowers, you know what I'm saying? Seeing that you already have features with Jay Cinema. The current theme is, not theme, but a connecting thread between all artists in this time right now is like, being POC, in most cases, specifically black artists who kind of channel their ancestry and their home teaching, their home training through their art. And you spoke in this interview briefly. You didn't really get into it. You said that your family was from the South.
Yeah.
And I didn't really ask you when we first started this interview, like, where you're from. So where do you come from? How did you grow up? If you can speak to that a little bit.
Well, I mean, like, speaking for me specifically, I'm a New Yorker. I'm from Brooklyn.
For sure.
East New York specifically. My mom's from East New York. My dad's from Brownsville. So, we're New Yorkers.
Yeah.
If you go, like, further out, you get, like, the Carolinas. You get Alabama. I was talking about like Louisiana or something like that. I don't know. It's
all down south, all Black America.
Yeah, exactly. Black American stuff, So yeah, in regards to like how I grew up and stuff like that, I was just like, I don't know. I was a homebody. I started off going to the park and stuff, but then like I got exposed to video games, and it's like and then I made friends who were also into video games. So it's like, all right, we playing Smash Bros.
Yeah, it's like,
it's
still
whatever.
social. It's just
exactly.
Yeah.
So exactly, it's social. It's on Discord. Okay. That's the only thing.
Who you main as on Smash Bros?
Right now I'm like in Ultimate. I'm a Donkey Kong main, but it's like I don't know. I hate that I'm a Donkey Kong main, but he just makes so much sense in my
For
head.
sure.
I feel like I play Smash Bros. How I rap, where it's like I
What
don't
you
know.
mean?
It's like I'd be like serious. I'll be dead serious. I'm gonna do like the optimal thing, even if it doesn't seem like the optimal thing. The optimal thing sometimes is the weird thing, but sometimes I'm just gonna goof off.
Yeah.
Like I'm
Ice
going,
climbers. You're an ice
yeah, I'm
climbers
going,
type
I'm going
guy.
to hit up special 6 times
Yeah.
just cause, and I feel like I rap like that sometimes, where
That's
it's
hard.
like, yeah, I'm doing my thing, I'm in my feelings or whatever, but sometimes I might say like a stupid line, like just cause like I don't know, my ex is theory crafting hoodoo, and I don't feel safe, cause I don't.
Yeah.
I'm still concerned.
Speaking of that,
Yeah.
that's all for ants under magnification.
Yeah.
You spoke about this in other places too, but how did you really assemble the people on that track, and do you feel like you got barred out on that?
Oh, those are the homies, bro.
Because the second dude.
Oh,
over
I was
there,
just about to
he's
say.
some
I was just
Kayate.
about to
And
say.
if I'm correct, if I'm reading the title incorrectly, his
Yeah.
name is Burning Macaw.
I was just about to put you on. So
For sure.
Vernon McCaw, he's high key the reason I'm even doing any of this stuff. That's my best friend Cesar. We met in high school. And there was a talent show, and like we had a class put together before. We were like cool, whatever. But he came to me. He's like, "Yo, I'm thinking about rapping for the talent show." And I feel like, you're into rap. We talked about like Doom and stuff before. He's
Yeah.
like, "Oh, you want to help me out?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure." And he showed me his stuff. He's like, "Oh, this is cool, but you're not saying nothing." And this is back when I wasn't saying nothing. No one was saying nothing,
Right, right.
So from there we like developed a friendship. I went to this writing program called Urban Word,
Right.
and I spent a lot of time there. So I like invited him there, and they're like heavy into like poetry, spoken word specifically or whatever. So we like grew through doing that and stuff. And then the whole reason I started producing was I was like, he doesn't need to be on tight beats, so I'm gonna start making beats or whatever. So I'm making beats, and then eventually like he's also a visual artist in like basically all mediums at this point. He did the artwork for Obtuse Ways.
Yeah. We'll get into that next.
Yeah. But so basically with him, he kind of drifted away from the rap thing. And I was like, I got all of these beats. I'm just gonna do my own thing, and that's
Speaking
how we
of
get
your
here.
beats, man, because
Yeah.
when I met you before today was at the barbecue, like you said.
Yeah.
And you had produced, or you got a song on the way for Jay, and it sounded kind of turnt, man. It sounded kind of like outside of your norm. So, like, could you speak to your production approach? Is it not as all over the place as your writing method? You make beats more often than you write? Or is it kind of like per diem, like per situation, like, I need a beat, let me go make it? Like,
No, it's never that. It's like a mood thing on the
Okay.
notion of like manic episodes or whatever.
Okay,
Sometimes
for
the manic episodes are writing, and sometimes it's producing. So I might make like 10. I have like I organize my beats. I'll just date them or whatever. So I like go through the beats, and it'd be like, man, September 2023, I was losing my mind. I was
Right.
making the best beats ever, and then it's like 2 months of mid. And then it's like, oh, December, I'm locked in again.
Right.
So that's usually how it is. I've been trying. I'm friends with like so many insane producers who do like a whole bunch of everything. So it's like I just be stealing. Like, oh, you're doing this. Let me lock in. Let me see what I can do. But I think my base is always like soul samples. As a rapper, I love. Like when Rock Marciano has this song called Muse, and the first time I heard it, it blew me away. It's like some dude talking, and like there's a sax in the background, and he's like rapping over the dude talking. At that point, I've never heard anyone do something like that. And it's like, oh, you can just rap over, like, I know, yeah, sure, soul chops or whatever, but this is like the loop. This is the whole thing.
The Rock Marcy one for me has to be Death Parade.
Yeah.
Or it has to be The Horse's Mouth. Like,
those are both
not one is off of
it's
Reloaded.
Reloaded,
and
yeah.
the other one's off of the Pale, not
Behold the Dark. Yeah, that's the one I was thinking of. Yeah,
one,
got you.
He's masterful.
No,
guy. Yeah, but
type.
You mentioned Obtuse Ways before, you know what I'm saying? Is that like, out of the two you have as far as that, like your baby still? Is that like still your,
No.
You don't pick favorites? You don't play favorites?
No, I pick favorite. I pick favorite. Favorite's not out yet.
Okay.
Favorite's not out yet. Yeah.
But the standout for me off of Obtuse Ways, we spoke about it a little bit off camera, y'all, and because I ask every guest I have on the show a preliminary question about, hey, is there anything you are uncomfortable speaking with? And this dude is straight up like, yo, like I've cried on record before, so it's nothing that's out of bounds. And this song is Drew Street, man. And I feel like a sicko for like walking around and enjoying my day to it, but I'm just like, yo, I'm a sucker for like visual and vivid stuff in rap. I feel like rap is in a place of like a lot of non sequitur.
Yeah.
And it's like, you know, people can hear what you do and think it's like, it's not linear storytelling. Like, what is he talking about? But it's a very clear story, and it's a very clear time in your shoes. So when you got into the part where you were like head down walking out of Planet Fitness or something like that, I was like, that's me. Like I mean, like, I really like lived that life. So could you oh, and particularly the ending of that song where you explain this refrain.
Yeah.
That's the whole thing, man. That's the point.
Yeah, that's the best part.
Yeah, bro. Speak to that. How did that song come together?
So I was actually re-listening because you brought up that song. I was like, let me like tap back in with that song.
That's a serious song. Right?
Oh, love. You know, that's why it's hard for me to listen to it. Yeah. You know, but what I realized about it, just listening to it literally today, was I think I recognize the level of like, oh, gentrification or whatever. Because like, you know, it's about like I said, I'm from East New York, and it's like seeing East New York change. We're like the final frontier of gentrification. You know, they got Bed-Stuy, they got most of Brooklyn. No one cares about East New York, but they're
kind of untouched.
No, you know, still, but it's like they're starting to care a little bit. They're starting to notice. We got the C train that cuts to. You go to J train that cuts to L3. You know, you get places. So it's like, oh, we can get to Atlantic from here. You know, that's all that matters to them. You know, so and it was like, they opened a Planet Fitness by me. I'm like, I'm gonna get my life together, so I'm gonna go to Planet Fitness. And then that was by a health clinic that I used to go to as a kid. And I just kind of assumed it was like, you know, still there. I knew my doctor, she moved to a different place, but like I'm going over there and I'm walking back and I'm looking, I'm like, bro, it is, like I said, it's ruins. It's nothing there, you know? So that kind of messed me up. And then
I don't think people who we would typically envision being gentrifiers use health clinics. I feel like that's really a
they use them, but it's like, you know, the fancy new ones or whatever. It's not nothing.
The ones you see ruins of or something.
Yeah, exactly.
Us, exactly. So it's crazy, but
you know, but
could you speak to how like repetition plays a part in your music? Because it's not exactly hugs, but you know how to drive a point home, and you really know how to emote. That's what I really want to get into too. You deliver a vocal performance, man. I'm surprised you didn't come here and say like, "Yo, I was a theater like savant or something like that." Man.
I was a little theater kid in high school.
Word?
Theater was my. I wanted to do like a writing elective. My school it wasn't bummy. It was a little bummy. So we didn't really have anything. So it was like, I guess I'll do theater. That's the closest I'll get to writing. Right. And I guess I enjoyed it.
You picked up some?
Yeah, I picked up a little bit, I guess. You know,
implemented, right? But do you record in front of people? Like, were you and Child Actor ever together? Were you?
Nah. I recorded my bedroom with my bonnet on. I have like a little setup with like the foam thing.
Is there any light
or whatever? Nah, I usually turn off the lights, and I got blackout curtains now, so it's like I'm in the darkness. I'm in the darkness, bro. Nah. I record features with the lights on.
He said when it's other people, it's like I gotta shoulder the weight of this.
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
I'll turn on the lights for that, but nah, I'm in the darkness otherwise. It's just the light of the computer.
That's dope. So we're kind of nearing the end of our time here, and on every show, I ask, you know, my guests lightning round of questions. I call it my time capsule talk.
Yeah.
So I don't want you to think too hard about your answers. Just hit me what first comes to mind. Be as honest as possible. Don't really filter it. So are you ready?
Yeah.
All right. So first question: who is a historical figure, dead or alive, that you identify with? Like if you were someone else, reincarnated as someone else in history, who would you be?
I got two because I'm 50-50. Either Amiri Baraka or Henry Dumas. They're both poets.
Yeah, Henry Dumas hard. I haven't gotten to Baraka. I've heard it before.
Yeah, Henry Dumas is my favorite poet. Amiri Baraka is like close second. Even like, you know, affirmations. The thing about the preface to a 20-volume suicide note. That's literally one of his poems.
I got some reading to do.
Yeah, he's that dude.
You and Flowers definitely like gave me the most homework. Like, so far, man. But my next question would be, if you could live anywhere, money wasn't a factor, other circumstances weren't a factor, where would you live and how would you be living? Like, what kind of accommodation?
I'm not moving nowhere. Money's the thing that's making me be like, should I move? If anything, I'm going to Harlem. I love Harlem.
Anywhere in the world, you're going to Harlem?
I'm going to Harlem. Yeah, okay. I love Harlem. I'll be walking around Harlem. Harlem's my happy place.
That's the vacation, Harlem.
Yeah.
That's real. Okay. Last meal of choice.
Last meal of choice? Some drunken noodles, like the Thai food. Like some drunken noodles with like shrimp or whatever.
That's it? No, like that?
I'll drink some water.
Wow.
Water is important. Yeah, I love water.
I like the aesthetic of that. You know what I'm saying? Nice filling, robust meal, flavorful.
Yeah.
Tight. This might be the one that might break you. It's broken many people before, but most romantic thing you've ever done, or shoot you some bail, what's been done for you? Or
most romantic thing I've ever done? Bro, I got lines about people. I guess this is me personally. I hope she feels the same. But I have beats named after my partner. Like right now, I think I'm at like 10 or 11, where it's like, her name's Kova. So it'd be like Kova 1, Kova 2. The beat that you heard Jay rap over, that was OVO Kova, because it was the 6th Kova beat or whatever. You know? Yeah.
Who do you feel like won that? That Drake and Kendrick little scuffle. No?
Drake got smoked. What? I don't know. I feel weird about it on both levels, but I feel more weird about it towards Drake. Drake's a weirdo, bro. Kendrick he operates questionably around people, but he's trying to, remove the notion of being a savior and stuff, which I respect. As like on an artist level, I still feel it's more complicated than that.
You don't read books, but respect for you.
No, exactly. It's
you're kind of taking that onus off you now.
You're talking about like Drake being a pedophile, but you bring out like a dude who does domestic violence. But like I hear you, Drake's still a pedophile. I
guess we gotta slay one dragon at a time. Kind of
but
thing,
if we're talking like bars or whatever, bro, Meet the Grams is generational. That's a crazy song. If I wish that song didn't have that context, because that's like writing what, bro? Yeah, crazy. That's up there. That's like a top 5 Kendrick song.
For real, drawing out like letter by letter, psycho evaluation of his whole life. Like, it's crazy. My next question would be favorite conspiracy theory.
Favorite conspiracy theory.
That's a weird way. That's like a weird.
Actually, no. I like the conspiracy theory about like the Masons being the Illuminati and stuff like that. And the only reason I find it entertaining is because my pops is a Mason, and he's been like a Mason my whole life. So it'd be like people will talk about that, and I'll be like, yo, my pops in the Illuminati.
So it's like you kind of just look at him like pops, like
yeah. My pops, he might be running with like a Jay-Z and Beyonce, and who knows?
Who knows? That would be crazy. If somewhere down the lineage you can look back, it's like. Yeah, it's crazy. But last question for you today. Loyalty or respect?
Loyalty or respect? Like for myself, I probably go with loyalty. I value like as in like me being loyal to my homies and stuff like that. And like if they if they disrespect me, if they're my homies, I give them give them grace or whatever. You could mess up around me. I think that's a lot more urgent than I don't know. I'm gonna go with loyalty.
That's really loyal people are important. People who will always speak highly of you of rooms.
I hope that like my friends give me the honesty, and I think that's a level of loyalty too. Where it's like, oh yeah, Shemar, you're wilding out. I trust them to do that, and I'm gonna do that with them, and I think that's a level of loyalty too. And there's respect in there too, of course. But sometimes you gotta like. When you're checking someone, it's kind of inherently disrespectful,
Yeah, but don't let nobody go outside. Like
no, I feel you.
Last question before we get out of here.
Mm-hmm.
What's next?
Oh, okay. I'm not gonna say the name of the project, but I got an album. It is executively produced by Outside House, who, if you know her, she's like. Top 5. She's crazy. Right. She's super crazy. But yeah, with also production from similar, friends who've been with me before. Some cool features. A lot of the normal things you would expect. There's one feature on there that's like, oh, I'm kind of up, or whatever,
Okay.
But yeah, I'm aiming for like spring next year, Besides that, maybe like some Lucy's. I'm producing a bunch of stuff for people.
Something to hold people over for sure.
Yeah, you'll see me around.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to plug? Instagrams? Anyone you want to shout out?
Man, shout outs Big Flower, shout outs Michael, shout outs Jay, shout outs Kova, shout outs Bernard McCaw, shout outs Bagel, Kill, Steve,
Gwen.
Sasko.
Yo, you know Kill?
Yeah, Kill's that dude.
Yo,
I have a
shout out to you, Murph, man.
I have
shout out to you, my boy. You're
pretty,
a great dude, man.
my pretty mid project. The only project I don't like is
Bandcamp.
produced by Kilimanjaro. But like Kill, ignoring that, Kill produces like my best songs. Kill is him and we're locked in. He's the bro.
Nah, he's definitely great at what he does, bro.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for joining me today, man.
Nah, it's an honor,
been
bro.
Another episode of Maroon Radio, y'all. We're out. Thank you.
Yeah,
Peace.
thank you.